Welcome to uBook channel. Read and listen to the greatest stories that mankind has ever told. From Iliad to Covid Terror, and other famous classics. Enjoy the best world literatures throughout history.
Covid Terror. Copyright 2021 by Gerry de Cadiz. All rights reserved. A unified Al-Qaeda and Islamic State took advantage of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic in reinvigorating its jihadist cause for dominance and the re-establishment of a caliphate. Holy Bible, Book of Revelation chapter 6 verse 8. I looked, and behold, an ashen horse, and he who sat on it had the name Death, and Hades was following with him. Authority was given to them over a fourth of the earth, to kill with sword, and with famine, and with pestilence, and by the wild beasts of the earth.
Covid Terror. Chapter 24.
Hoover Dam Complex. Clark County, Nevada. May 11, 2020. The father of Arab philosophy, Al-Qaeda, was the first of the Islamic peripatetic philosophers who postulated that our soul can be directed towards the pursuit of desire or the pursuit of intellect. The former will tie it to the body, so that when the body dies, it will also die, but the latter will free it from the body and allow it to survive, in the light of the Creator, in a realm of pure intelligence. Every Muslim must satisfy the 5 pillars of Islam, in order to live a good and responsible life, according to the will of Allah. The faithful observance of Shahada, Salat, Zakat, Psalm and Hajj, provides the framework of a Muslim's life, weaving their daily activities and faith into a strong character of devotion. My brothers, we pray because it is a moral duty and obligation. By praying, we help ourselves feel comforted and at peace, and to provide answers to our problems. It was right after dawn that Abu Ayman al-Iraqi called for Salat al-Fajr with his remaining forces at the Hoover Dam complex. Of the 3 companies originally assigned by the Khalifa, only 88 mujahideen remained after the battle with the SWAT team yesterday. Abu Ayman al-Iraqi did a short harangue. Warriors of Allah, glorified is He, we are all aware of the forces mustering around us since yesterday. The tasks ahead may be daunting. But whatever will happen today, we are ready. We are not new to this challenge. We have known our enemy, since they set foot in our land in 1990 to intervene in our destiny. Many martyrs have fallen, fathers, brothers and friends, just to keep the fervor of self-determination alive. We've been tagged with so many names. We've been ridiculed, harassed, and abused as a people. They exploited our land. They made war as a business. Today, we'll bring war to their own land. We heard what our dear Khalifa enunciated, our preservation as Muslims in an Islamic state. But this war is not just about territory, people, government, or sovereignty. This holy war speaks about the central tenet of our existence, by putting faith into action and practice in our lives. Submission to God is at the forefront of every mujahid. As we prepare to become Shaheed, we will fight in the way of Allah, glorified is He, kill and get killed. SEAL Team 6 was able to clear the Khalifa mansion in Vero Beach, Florida, except the upper level. At the lobby of the 3rd floor, they caught a movement in an opened door to the right. A young man in dark jacket close to the neck with raised hands, slowly came out. Unlike with those they have fought, who were mostly in late 30 or mid 40, this one is still a teenager. Beware of a vampire. The troop commander warned his assaulters, between clenched teeth. When the would-be prisoner was about a meter from the nearest trooper, he suddenly run forward, and drop his hands to his pockets, hastily trying to get at something. He took out a detonator, but as he was about to stretch the device for the charges to activate, his head got drilled with various calibers of bullets. Not a single slug ever hit the body of the suicide bomber. It would take one single spark, and the entire bomb package will blow them all to smithereens. A SEAL bomb disposal expert immediately defused the improvised explosive device. The team got into their tasks as they entered the Khalifa's room. A lot of evidences on the terroristic acts of Aaron al-Hassani were discovered. It appears that in this room, his life was transformed from a ragged warrior into a scheming jihadist leader. The interior design was derived from classical Arabic arts. Mementos of his previous life as Abu Musab al-Zarqawi can be gleaned upon the books, official documents, and letters to his compatriots in steel cabinets, and other personal effects. A wardrobe contains ceremonial dresses, and objects to distinguish him as the leader of an ummah. In the last few years, he's been readying himself to really appear as a legitimate and powerful Khalifa. The black flag of the Islamic State is prominently displayed above the head of his bed. On the left side is a weapons rack, where an APC-9K submachine gun neatly hang. The weapon chambers a 9mm parabellum, and comes standard with two 30-round translucent magazines. The three-layer wooden drawers are full of APC-9K ammunition. A reading lamp in an antique pedestal occupy the side table on the right. A leather-bound Quran was placed along with Aaron's daily planner. Lieutenant Commander Patrick Kaufman lifted the holy book, and found underneath a folded paper. The CIA dossier was partially torn in two. The left portion gives the personal details of Aaron, while the other one features two images, the original mugshot of al-Zarqawi as insurgency leader in 2004, and that of al-Hassani as AI President CEO in 2019. The bottom half of the page narrated the life and transformation of the Khalifa, and on how he became the undisputed leader of Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State. The dossier is not only folded and torn, it has several marks of human blood. The SEAL team leader was properly briefed by the CIA on the background of this mission. So, he is confident that even without subjecting the dossier to a forensic analysis and DNA test, he knows that the mastermind to the murder-assassination of General Friedrich Clark is Aaron al-Hassani, the Sheikh of the Slaughterers. After the commander of the Caliphate army at Hoover Dam did the religious preparation before battle of a Muslim field army, Abu Muslim al-Turkmani was tasked to oversee the strengthening of the perimeter defense of their captured portion of Lake Mead area. The deputy commander drew his order of battle. The Mujahideen was reconfigured as a composite single unit of fighters. Only the lone squad at Plus Alpha is isolated. That's why they were given with ample provisions, arms, and ammunitions. The rest of the warriors were stationed above and below the dam. Then Abdul Najib advised Commander al-Iraqi to position the Mujahideen especially at the U-shaped power plants. The Americans will never bomb your position, for fear of damaging the turbines and generators. Or worst, an imprecise missile strike could activate the W-80 trigger mechanism. You have a better chance of exchanging punch with them, in a confined and highly defensible position. Remember Mashaytun Thermopylae. The operations officer gave a very cheerful encouragement from the other line. But the Battle of Thermopylae ended with all the heroic Greeks, particularly the 300 Spartans of Leonidas, dead defending a narrow coastal pass in 480 BC, against the reportedly 100,000 soldiers of King Xerxes I of Persia, the Al-Qaeda ISIS commander silently told himself. This engagement has been studied by military tacticians since ancient time, noting that the performance of the defenders is an example of the advantages of training, equipment, and good use of terrain as force multipliers. In every training of a Caliphate army recruit, it's being drilled that the famous rearguard action of the 300 is a symbol of courage against overwhelming odds. Commander, are we not going to guard the bombs? A young cotter inquired. No need for that. There is no way that those weapons can be defused where they are. If somebody is foolish enough tinkering, or physically transferring it to a safe place to be detonated, it will go off right there and then. The installed bombs, the W80 and RCX, were designed to be detonated remotely through Minsat's GPS. Once the blasting caps were activated during installation to receive a signal, it automatically initiates an anti-interference system. A specific coordinate for its location serves as the trigger mechanism that is registered at the ACDS, that only the Khalifa or Abdul Najib can deactivate. If you want to defuse the bombs in Lake Mead, neutralize first the finger holding the trigger in Los Angeles. Before sunrise, a Bell AH-1Z Viper of the U.S. Marine Corps made a dash over the crest of Hoover Dam, similar to what it did yesterday afternoon. Anything Instagrammable? The pilot asked as he pushed forward the throttle, then moved the cyclic control stick to twist to the right. More on an armed visual reconnaissance roll, the twin-engine attack helicopter traced the length of the dam structure and proceeded with agility to the upstream portion of the lake. Nothing worth a dime. The co-pilot turned his head for a wider view of the structures below. If not for that black rag and those bloated bodies in the parking lot, you may think that the Bureau of Reclamation declared an early break for All Souls Day, the Leatherneck commented wryly. As daylight came, not even a shadow can be seen in any of the barred structures. The access roads at both ends were placed with vehicles in irregular interval to block entries to the dam. A spy drone registered some exposed wirings, demonstrating that these are all connected to explosive devices. We're just prolonging the agony, mate. The order to attack the terrorists was aborted yesterday, when it was determined by Pentagon officials that the installed bombs utilized a GPS-activated trigger mechanism. No one could even go near those weapons. The top brass was advised by bomb disposal experts that there might be booby traps in the bomb's periphery that can activate the trigger. Don't sweat on that. It will come today. The Marines officer assured his buddy, going higher to scout the western promontory, about 2 kilometers from the dam. The Viper is equipped with a hover infrared suppression system to enhance its survivability. The HIRSS consists of engine exhausts, countermeasure dispensers, radar warning, incoming on-way missile warning, and on-fuselage laser spot warning systems. As the gunship climbed to 1,000 feet above the waterline, the ANAAR-47 missile warning system blared, the HIRSS monitor warning of an incoming missile from the northwest. Deploy countermeasures. The pilot commanded as he brought the chopper in a steep dive, and level about a meter from the water. The U.S. infrared guided missile countermeasure device was meant to counter the threat of SAMs, by dispensing decoy flares to jam IR-guided missiles. The Disco Light, as ALQ-144A was called by some devil dog flyers, could either prevent the missile from actually locking onto the target, or in this situation, it would cause the missile to think that the target is off to one side, and make it steer away. The FIM-92 Stinger is a man-portable air defense system that operates as an infrared homing missile. Halfway through its flight to the target, the tracking device was muddled by the defensive flares. It shot past the chopper, and slammed to the dam cliff in a massive explosion. Next vampire at 4 o'clock. The navigator weapons operator warned the pilot, as he prepared an attack solution to where the threat came from. Those badass thought it's Halloween. So much for this spooking business. The pilot cursed as he brought the chopper to higher altitude, and turned around in a wide arc. The second Stinger lost its homing parameters, and dropped to the lake harmlessly. A Hellfire can do it. He pointed to a rocky outcrop at the Arizona side of the dam. The AGM-114 Hellfire is an air-to-surface missile, developed for precision strikes against high-value targets, with a multi-target precision strike ability. Fox 1. The weapons operator shouted, as a Hellfire swooshed to the World War II bunker where the Stingers exited. It's steered by the Viper's target sight system, that incorporates a third-generation forward-looking infrared sensor, although the missile has its own semi-active laser homing guidance system. The 100-pound Hellfire, traveling at Mach 1.3, contains a high-explosive bunker buster warhead. As it hit the Al-Qaeda ISIS anti-air position, the fiery charge disintegrated the target and damaged the surrounding areas with a blast wave. For the mujahideen of the caliphate army at the dam, watching the action behind half-closed windows, plus Alpha exploded like a massive volcanic eruption. Aaron regretted that he allowed hot ice to live. No other person outside Al-Qaeda ISIS knows that he owned a property in an exclusive subdivision in Florida. Even until now, it's still under the name of a businessman based in Korea, who seldom visit the place in a year. For the benefit of observers, real-life merchants, under his payroll, would go in and out of the mansion, visiting groceries, making some requests for leaked pipes or filing complaints of rowdy neighbors at the local sheriff's office. A report from Louise implied that the Vero Beach property was raided. His personal effects could be on the way now to FBI laboratories for testing and verifications. Amir, I stayed in a nearby hotel. She detailed the reason why she was not found at the mansion when the raiding SEAL team attacked. The natural and inherent tendency of the White Widow for self-preservation is exceptional. Although he expected some form of retribution with what is happening in the West Coast, yet he never thought that the Florida mansion will be known to intelligence services. Are there survivors of the brothers? None that I can see from my window. She has a pair of binoculars trained surreptitiously at the compound, from her room 5 floors above. For our exit strategy, we'll revert to Plan B. I hope you have it right. Of course, Amir. She's fully aware that Aaron cannot tolerate a second failure in a plan. She has to be careful. The entire state was declared by the governor to be under martial law. Troops from the National Guard were deployed in all counties, and the movement of people were restricted with reinforced checkpoints everywhere. Printed and online versions of local tabloids scream with headlines like, ISIS camp in Florida or terrorists breeding ground in Sunshine State, complete with the black flag and the masked, black-cladded bodies strewn in different locations of the mansion. In fact, she already commenced with Plan B this morning. Utilizing dummy platforms in dark servers, she changed the bookings in various airlines, the exit flights of the surviving members of the Caliphate army. Their itineraries were meticulously counter-checked, and remained updated within the day, to avoid a situation similar to what happened to Abu Muhammad al-Shimali, at the JFK International Airport. Although each mujahid was taught and trained how to improvise, everyone was too eager to come to Jannah, the garden paradise, and attaining Shaheed with acts of heroism. The martyr Fatiha Mejidi showed the perfect example yesterday, of dying for one's faith. The 75th Ranger Regiment took pride of its original roots in colonial America, as a unit which engages enemies that regular troops cannot handle. It is an elite special operations force, that is combat deployable within 18 hours from alert notification, undertaking direct action, special reconnaissance, and counter-terrorism. Commander, 2 helicopters inbound. A mujahid reported from the observation deck the approach of Boeing AH-6 gunships. One little bird hovered over the deck, and a fire team of Rangers descended by fast roping in a matter of seconds. On touchdown, the 2 snipers and their spotters sprinted to the nearest cover, and readied their weapons. The spotter saw a black-cladded fighter with field glasses, hiding in one of the posts. One of the snipers who can speak Arabic, shouted for the man to surrender. But instead of giving up, the ISIS man took out his pistol and shoot at the soldier, barely missing the latter's head. The other sniper shot the terrorist with his Sig Sauer M17 service pistol. Here they come. Abu Ayman al-Iraqi announced to his fighters, as the other light gunship hovered atop the Arizona side of the Mike O'Callaghan, Pat Tillman Memorial Bridge, and disgorged its passengers. The snipers' team took position with a clear line of sight to the crest and powerhouses of the dam. Suddenly, a Hydra 70 shoot out from the Little Bird's rocket tube, obliterating one of the towers that juts out from the crest. One fucking sniper gotta kiss the ground. the navigator commented as he continued scanning the rest of the towers, for possible long-range shooters. The last tower in Nevada contains a bullseye. Roger, NAV. The pilot acknowledged, as another rocket blasted the tower along with a sniper, who's been hiding behind the concrete guardrail. Playing ground is clear. Let's call the Indians. The two gunships took station on the opposite side of the dam, ready to assist for any requested air support. Bluebird to Comanche, it's time to play rock sliding. Sean Gabriel Fitzgerald volunteered for this mission. He has to sign a waiver at Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, because per U.S. Army regulations, civilians are no longer allowed to board military transport on their whim alone. When he produced his CIA card and recited his service number, the RRC commander declared, "Looks reasonable to me." On the lead Boeing CH-47 Chinook transport helicopter, Sage cast his eyes on the rushing desert below. At the airbase, the Army Rangers 1st Platoon of the Regimental Reconnaissance Company gave him a Heckler & Koch MP5 9x19mm Parabellum submachine gun. That's in case you feel like joining the parlor game. A young lieutenant threw at him a belt, with a dozen of fully loaded 40-round detachable box magazines. Indeed, the SMG looks like a toy. If you fancy some fireworks, sweet apples are in that box. The officer pointed at a wooden box, containing the standard Army fragmentation grenades. I just need to feel the rush. With luck, I hope to see again those whom we faced in Mosul, during the Iraqi insurgency. I missed them for a selfie. He chuckled at his lie. Coming here is more about intelligence gathering. He wanted to check the pair of W-80 installed in the dam. The production number on its casing could tell analysts in Langley of the bomb's origin, and how it came to the hands of Aaron al-Hassani. If company agents were that good and lucky, the networks and individual terrorist cells in the country can be pinpointed. A team of SEALs is presently on the prowl, and profiling the ricin coronavirus weapons that were found in various tanks of water treatment facilities in the Lake Mead area. A tip from Hot Ice that he shared to DevGru enabled the Navy's primary Special Operations Force to locate the biological warfare armaments. Rangers. Ho-ha. The two Chinook transports landed on both ends of the dam, guarded above by the orbiting little birds. The two companies of Rangers were disgorged in less than a minute. After the Chinook lifted off, the soldiers lost no time in securely tying several 220-meter thick ropes to the guard rails. Even in the absence of a descender, the troops rappelled, in a synchronized fashion, by the downstream slope of Hoover Dam. A sniper on the bridge told his spotter, "Our guys started to have fun." The first squad to land at the flat roof of the U-shaped powerhouse scampered to the end of the building. Establishing a defensive perimeter, they set up their unit's M249 light machine gun, aimed at the rooms facing them on the opposite wing. The next squad landed and went to the other side of the powerhouse, and did the same position. The maneuver was repeated, squad by squad, until such time that the whole company was straddling the entire roofing structure of the building. Like Bolshoi ballet dancers, each squad methodically tied a shorter rope to the steel electrical posts, and in a coordinated manner, obseiled at once to the wide passageway below. The maneuver of the entire company, from the dam's crest to the side of the powerhouse walls, was under 2 minutes. As the terrorists streamed out of several doors, the sniper teams on the bridge and at the observation deck made a field day. In the opening volley, 4 black-cladded figures were pushed back at their respective doors, forcing their companions to skip or hesitate in going out. The SMG operators decided to train their automatic close-quarter offensive weapons at every doorway. Sappers were busy improvising to breach and demolish the hastily prepared fortifications by the Caliphate army. The noise is unbearable, with nearly 200 guns firing at once. Shouts of "incoming" can be heard oftentimes as the defenders extensively used rocket-propelled grenades. As the warhead of RPGs was designed for tanks or armor, the tactic of Al-Qaeda ISIS is to shoot the concrete barriers. The subsequent blasts and shrapnel were very effective against personnel. Angels, hit those sticks. The RRC company commander radioed the snipers to focus their sights on jihadists with RPGs. Roger that, Captain. The team leader replied with assurance. The RPG-carrying fighters diminished. Windows were blasted as snipers trained their weapons to anything that moved inside. The Rangers' SMG operators effectively formed a fusillade of fire, which enabled the rest of the soldiers to advance through several holes in the wall that sappers created, using generous amount of C4 plastic explosives. The spaces on each side of the dam's downstream area were dedicated as the powerhouse, large concrete structures that is 650 feet long and 245 feet high. The Arizona wing contains 9 main turbines while the Nevada side has 8 generating units. Between these wings is an office complex for management and different operational facilities. Sage joined a team that entered the base portion of the U. Once inside the powerhouse, it came to individual shootouts. In all directions from him, the terrorists were being pushed back forcibly by the ranges. Loud explosions can be heard in the hollowed wings of the building, as the battle rages on. The entrance to the offices were rigged with IEDs, except to the main office of the Bureau of Reclamation. With his MP5 at a ready, and carefully checking for any sign of a device that can injure when its trigger is activated, he slowly nudged the doorway. Standing on the side to protect himself from any possible blast, he opened the door widely, and after counting until 10, entered the room. The first thing that caught his attention is the silvery W80-1 warhead, standing upright in the middle of the room. This is what Aaron Al-Hassani bragged about in his broadcast. Making sure not to touch anything, he went nearer to check the bomb. Nothing is attached to the warhead. The only indicator that it's live is a blinking light-emitting diode near the pulsed power switch. A dumb silent devil, Sage remarked as he moved around. Using his smartphone, he took several pictures of the set, especially zooming in the serial number located at the base. He just closed the door when a big explosion rocked the entire powerhouse. Several Rangers, many were bloody, were falling back from the Nevada wing. What happened? He asked a sergeant as they took cover. Those stupid beasts in black blow up the number 8 turbine. Sage tried to lighten up the situation. That's unfortunate, Sergeant. Your favorite striptease hangout in Las Vegas will be closed for some time with the power outage. The Rangers commander crouched next to him. You think that's for real? I checked. The W80 may look innocent, but it can deliver a powerful wallop of 150 kiloton. With its twin on the other side, this setup is enough to crush and blow to shards the entire Hoover Dam. The soldiers surged forward again, this time linking with the Rangers from the Nevada wing as they eliminated the last defender on this sector. Ladies, do some retouching first before joining the party in the other club. Say the word to the rest in your harem. The captain ordered his troops, who were just done neutralizing all terrorists on the eastern part of the powerhouse, to check their weapons and ammunition. Likewise, determine also if there are prisoners or stragglers. The use of funny words was morale booster, as part of the Rangers' tradition. One Indian boy to Comanche, the platoon leader on the Arizona side, is reporting. Go ahead, Lieutenant. Captain, we have a hostage situation. 30 heads beside number 13 turbine. Ascertain possible impact. The captain seems irked with the lack of information. Looks like for collateral damage. Some are wearing suicide vests that were forced on them by the terrorists. The platoon leader specified. Indian boy, maintain distance from the sacrificial lambs. We'll party together. The captain indicated that he will reinforce the Arizona sector. The Rangers commander ordered a coordinated attack. The first platoon is 60% down from full strength. Soliciting ammunitions from their wounded comrades, the remaining able-bodied soldiers were ordered to reinforce the exhausted troops of one Indian boy. They will serve as the sledgehammer of the assault, while the unit commanded by two Indian boy will act as the anvil. There was a sudden increase of automatic rifles fire, followed by a loud explosion. An IED, obviously. The platoon leader on the other side reported. Comanche, and Elvis Presley in black got so excited in going to heaven, that he run to our position with his jacket and belt full of NGs, the lieutenant complained of the suicide bomber with high explosives from nitroglycerin. One by one, the terrorist fell among the dam's machineries where they were taking cover. Shouts of, "Don't shoot," can be heard from the BR employees. A fanatic tried to detonate a bomb in front of the hostages. He was not able to take out his detonator, when his body was punctured with multiple slugs. When the entire powerhouse became quiet again, an ordnance disposal team rushed to the hostages to defuse the IEDs. The other workers drag out an unarmed Arab of mid-50s. This is the bloody executioner. The display at the visitor center and at the parking lot are his works. The Hoover Dam employees tied the hands and feet of Abu Ayman al-Iraqi. Then they put a sturdy blindfold in his eyes, as he maintained an upright posture while in a kneeling position. The government troopers understood the situation, and immediately turned their backs, to proceed with evacuating several wounded rangers. All fighters of the Al-Qaeda ISIS within the dam complex were dead, except the one on the verge of martyrdom. The latest count had shown that 135 elite troopers of the Iraqi Special Republican Guard, who were employed by Aaron al-Hassani as staff of Saltwell's villa, participated in the two-day dam takeover and murder of several personnel of the Bureau of Reclamation, plus the annihilation of 11 members of the Nevada SWAT team. The employees hit al-Iraqi with anything they can lay their hands on. The commander of the Caliphate army in Hoover Dam never showed any resistance. He took each blow with the dignity of a martyr of Allah. Sage understood and can speak Arabic. As the blows became lethal and blood started to ooze out from the head's orifices, Abu Ayman al-Iraqi prayed vigorously. By the being in whose hand is my life, I love that I should be killed in the way of Allah. Then I should be brought back to life, and be killed again in his way. The sharpness of the Rambo surgical knife was dulled with a specialized paint to avoid reflection, as Lieutenant Colonel Siegfried Clark crawled nearer to the barricade, 100 meters to the 10-foot fence of the Al-Hassani Resort in Los Angeles. Morning has not broken yet, and there are some stars still visible on the horizon. Behind him in OCP combat utility uniforms is a composite company from the U.S. Air Force Special Warfare, which were reassigned to form the nucleus of a Special Forces unit of the United States Space Force. The young Astrians are not new to combat, as they are veterans in a lot of actions related to U.S. engagements of its war on terrorism in many countries throughout the world. When the USSF was activated in late 2019, no one had any idea what to call the new combat units, to differentiate them from the cyber warriors, computer experts that engaged in the infiltration or sabotage of information systems, or in the defense of information systems against outside attack. Typically for strategic or military purposes. Until such time, that a geek technician pointed at the first batch of recruits, doing some calisthenics and exclaimed, "Guys, look at those Astrians, guess they're looking forward to slug it out with Martians on the moon." The name stuck, believed now to be referring to the Greek term for star, astery. Astrians, avoid the moons in the ring of Saturn. Colonel Clark radioed his platoon leaders to break up in formation, and proceed with their target walls, all the while staying physically undetected in the dark. The USSF Special Warfare Battalion as an elite combat unit, was formed to perform direct action missions, combat search and rescue, infiltration, exfiltration, space stations defense, cyberspace interdiction, special reconnaissance, closed space support, psychological operations, and astronauts and space delivery vehicles protection. The Astrians can revert to combat mode in an hour's notice. Even when Aaron al-Hassani was still making his threat yesterday on global media, the commanding general volunteered in front of the president, for the USSF SWB to undertake the Zulfikar mission, as the unit's baptism of fire. A full combat battalion was assembled at the LA Air Force Base, even in the middle of the night. Rifle teams, armors, gunships, and rocket missile batteries for anti-air support. His original unit, the 527th Space Aggressor Squadron, is on standby for air and technical support. A sleepy cyber warrior asked his buddy, "Can't we not just drop a couple of nukes on those bastards?" "That's a negative, dullard. No one will appreciate a mushroom cloud in Hollywood," an officer standing behind rebuked him. Colonel Clark can make out the outline of the main building in the resort. According to CIA, that holds the war room of Al-Hassani, where the trigger to those bombs in Hoover Dam and in water treatment facilities is located. An earlier dispatch said that the Army Rangers were commencing their assault of the Caliphate Army, lodged at the dam right at this moment. The SEALs on the other hand reported finding several bioweapons in the tanks of treatment plants for the waters of California, Nevada, and Arizona. About 50 meters to the fence, SWB sappers went ahead through the shadows to avoid the CCTVs above, and placed the exact number of plastic explosives to breach the wall. On my mark, 3, 2, 1. Go. The execution command of Colonel Clark was lost in a thundering noise, as several bays were blasted and opened up. In a matter of seconds, squad after squad of Astrians surged forward, and immediately took a defensive perimeter along the northern wall of the Zulfikar resort. The lights and spy cameras were the first to succumb to the barrage of fire from the bivouacs that were created. "Starlets, don't mind the cold. We'll have an early swim," a platoon leader shouted at his unit, as they dashed to the beach where an anchorage is located, holding two powerful speedboats. They put charges on the boats, and positioned themselves against possible attack from a nearby cottage. Suddenly, the ground shook and the colonel can see from the early dawn, a long half-a-mile-off opening, and carefully spewing out a Black Hawk. Two similar locations readied also the military gunships. The tactical transport helicopter is equipped with assorted missiles, rockets, and machine guns. Stargazers, be advised of 3 angry birds. Again, that's 3 angry birds. Colonel Clark informed the SWD Air Cavalry Unit of the impending difficulty of having helicopter gunships in the opposition. "Got it, Com Delta. Here we go." Captain Kristen Haver is just too happy to glide with her Boeing AH-64 Apache attack helicopter to the heat of battle. The Pentagon agreed for her immediate temporary transfer to the USSF to lead the fledgling air combatants of the newest command. Her wingman, another lady who passed the Rangers' Rego routes training, and the subsequent air combat operations, flew in formation. On her TDMS, 3 red dots reformed into an attack pattern. A rocket loosened from the leading aircraft, and targeted a platoon of SWB troopers who were rushing to take defensive positions, so that the second echelon can come through. "Hot sticks at 12 o'clock, the platoon leader shouted, as everybody jumped for cover. A private loosened a stinger at the attacker, but the gunship did a tight turn that negated the tracking signal of the missile. The explosion on the shore was spectacular. The other 2 Black Hawks looked for their own targets. A SWB armored personnel carrier, coming through at another breached wall, became the first victim. A hellfire from the second gunship smacked and obliterated the vehicle in a loud explosion, giving no time to the soldiers inside to bail out. As Captain Haver entered the battle scene, the Khalifa's air assets were wreaking havoc among the ground troops. A company was pinned near the shore, unable to make headway, with the heavy fire coming from pillboxes that littered the beach. "Let's go girl for a nice swoop," her navigator weapons operator urged her in the intercom, as she brought the Apache in a steep climb. Upon reaching the service ceiling of 20,000 feet, she suddenly relaxed the pedal to veer in a wide arc, and go down so fast that her teeth rattled. "Are we set to dance?" she asked for the attack solution. "Roger that, Captain," came her backrider's affirmation. "Tally-ho." A simple tap on the TDMS and punched on her stick, released an AIM-9 Sidewinder on the left pylon. The leading Black Hawk tried to do an evasive maneuvering, but he was rattled with a stinger from one of Colonel Clark's anti-air units. Traveling at Mach 2.5, the air intercept missile is gaining distance on its target. The pilot decided that everything is hopeless, so he turned his chopper to a mortar nest, that is covering the main building with several rounds. Barely 100 feet from the ground, the missile caught the Black Hawk in a violent explosion. The mortarmen run to safety, as fiery debris showered their position.
Thank you for watching. Write in the comments section for your request as to what book, usually from Project Gutenberg, you want us to feature in U-Book channel.
Click like to boost the rating of U-Book channel, make a comment for us for the improvement of our services, and share this video to your friends, with the copyright intact. Please click subscribe, and hit the bell button to be notified of new uploads from U-Book channel.